Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, my loves. It's Choice, and you're watching Choice TV. For today's video, I know I'm late, but I wanted to get on here and talk about the Charlie Kirk situation and why people are debating on whether or not should we even give a fuck. Now, to be honest with you, that's a really good question. Why should we give a fuck that this man that grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, in Arlington Heights of Chicago, who didn't even believe that white privilege exists, and also has said a lot of interesting things about George Floyd.
This is just a broader point. Our whole country blew up because of this incident, and it was largely based on a lie. Largely based on a lie. We were all
What was the lie?
The lie is that there was a white police officer that went after a black person just because he was black, and it just wasn't true. He was resisting arrest.
Okay, but he killed him. Like, that doesn't...
Well, again, the county medical examiner disagrees. The county medical examiner in the original report...
Why did he get sentenced?
Exactly.
Like,
That's a good
no,
question.
I'm saying...
It's because it was largely a show trial.
Nah, real shit though, how do we know that Charlie Kirk didn't die of a fentanyl overdose? You feel me? Like, we gotta wait on the toxicology reports come out, cause, okay, we might have saw a gunshot and shit, but we also saw somebody put their knee on somebody else's neck, and we saw other people still say that person died of fentanyl overdose. So how do we know Charlie Kirk didn't have fentanyl in his system and he didn't die of a fentanyl overdose? You feel me? So, I don't know. I'm just gonna wait and see.
Hell, 2 days before he died, Charlie Kirk was on Twitter telling how so many pastors were mad that George Floyd overdosed. Mind you, he was murdered. But don't care, a white woman was brutally murdered by a 14-count repeat offender. So he's disrespecting somebody in death 2 days before he dies. Somebody that's obviously being disrespected across the entirety of the internet for the past 5 years. Then when people turn around and do it to him, these people are supposed to be evil?
Now, Mr. Floyd was a criminal. You know, he wasn't a good person. And there's definitely criminal reports of him literally, running up on a woman and, pointing a gun at her and trying to rob her home and all that type of stuff. Like, he has a rap sheet that is long as hell. Floyd wasn't a good guy. But what's interesting is I'll never forget when Candace Owens said that she's not going to have any sympathy or grace for someone that wasn't a good person. First of all, where the hell was your antennas when people were criticizing you for not having sympathy and grace for a man that literally passed away? Yeah, he may not have been the greatest person, but some could say the same thing about Charlie Kirk in their perspective.
Should be allowed, but people say it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay. So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped and she was going to give birth and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her
That's off limits.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
He had a lot of very interesting beliefs about mass immigration, a lot of very interesting beliefs about affirmative action, and some people could perceive that as not good as well. So granted, George Floyd definitely wasn't a good person, but let's be real. Candace Owens and her friends want to get mad at people for not having sympathy. Candace Owens, I get it. George Floyd and Charlie Kirk were definitely night and day, but people don't owe anybody sympathy. And I was never mad at Candace Owens for her beliefs, just like how I'm never going to be mad at a lot of y'all who don't have any sympathy at all that Charlie is not with us anymore.
Truths around there. So the Central Park Five, for people that don't know, was a huge news story. Donald Trump even took out a major advertisement at the time. And so there was the individuals that were involved at the time admitted guilt. That's important to mention. And there's all these other facts. I don't have to get so deep into it. But eventually the sentences was vacated. Now, that's an important distinction. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen legally. It doesn't mean that there was an acquittal. It just means that the sentence was vacated. But look, we can get into that if you want. But it is this trend of the left lifting up criminals. It is very factual that Yusuf Salam was there in Central Park that evening. To what extent or everything he did that night, only God knows.
Why should many people give a fuck? Well, I'll tell you why. It's the fact that it's kind of human decency. This man literally got blasted in his neck in front of his family and friends during a debate about gun violence and the Second Amendment. And it is kind of ironic because while he was trying to justify the Second Amendment and why the right to bear arms is very necessary, he ended up getting blasted in his neck, making it clear that a lot of the chaos and people who abuse guns are usually black gangs. He was never my cup of tea, but at the end of the day, he didn't deserve to die. When I see people vandalizing his memorials, shitting on him, saying F him, now he dead.
Look at me, everybody. Look at me. Fuck your homie dead. The fuck?
Arguing, just rest in peace then. Stop arguing. Rest in peace. The end. Leave it alone. Stop being crazy. Human being got shot in front of his kids. Human being got shot and murdered in front of his wife.
And so did 2,000 kids in Gaza. So did 2,000 kids in Gaza. Yeah. So you can hear me loud and clear.
For him,
Charlie Kirk hated empathy.
You're a very loud, angry person.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
You're stereotyping a black woman.
Explain why rest in peace is bad. Explain why murder was good. Why are you mad about that?
Because you live by the gun, you die by the gun.
Your
And
heart.
that's exactly what
Just
the
like
fuck he
George
got.
Floyd.
Live by the
fence,
what
he died by the
are you
fence.
bringing up George Floyd?
Live by the fence,
That's
died
why,
by the
that's
fence.
exactly why he's fucking dead.
He died of an overdose, yeah.
Charlie Kirk said George Floyd was a scumbag that deserved to die.
He was.
So
Nobody
Charlie
deserves
Kirk
to die.
was a scumbag that
Nobody
deserved to
deserves to
die.
die. Catch your breath.
And America isn't fucking great.
That's what I'm gonna say. Some of y'all are going to hell in a handbasket to say that that's what his ass get. That's just evil. But it's not evil to not bat an eyelash or give a fuck, because that's a good question. When people say, should we give a fuck? That's a really great question. Why should we give a fuck? When you see what he had to say about George Floyd and you see what he had to say about the Central Park 5, although debatable, you know, you can kind of see why a lot of people don't really care about the fact that he's now dead. And I don't think the man was racist at all. I just think that he was very biased and delusional as fuck. Because I'll never forget when he sat up there and tried to sit up here and say that white privilege doesn't exist.
Oh, they definitely don't matter.
I'm an 8-year military veteran. I'm a college student. I'm a black woman. And I believe that white privilege exists. So we're going to start with that.
Thank you for your service.
And the reason why white privilege exists is because you guys refuse to acknowledge the history that put people in this position. You want to tell me that white privilege doesn't exist when white people had a upper hand for 250 years to develop generational wealth?
And then we were in the Jim Crow era. How is that possible? Oh, I know, because they sold you your oppression and you bought it. So you're actually the reason why people like us can't do well, because they've sold you our oppression and you bought it. Blacks were doing better under the Jim Crow era.
If you acknowledge the oppression of other people, we can heal from it.
No, we
but
can't.
But if you want to ignore it, we won't
can't.
have anything happen.
That's not how this works. Dialogue and acknowledging things doesn't make us suddenly rich.
So there's a question I do want to ask, which I can't seem to get an answer. What can she not do in America that a white person can do? What opportunity? You served in the military. You've made good choices. You're getting rewarded for them. You're going to live in the American middle class. What privilege do I have that you don't have that is based on skin color, not on wealth or socioeconomic status? Please.
The fact that you are sitting here with like little to no education trying to talk to people about white privilege is white privilege.
Tell me one thing I said that's wrong, and don't use an argument from authority. Make a good argument.
But to say it still doesn't have a lasting effect is delusional as fuck. And that's someone that definitely is clothed and hidden and stashed away in their suburban ass area and would never even set foot in the fucking hood. They've never even fucking went to a hood school, never even went to a fucking park in the hood, never went out of the way to probably go support a mom and pop shop in the hood. So how the fuck would this person know? And then they have so many opinions about what the fuck black people should do and what the black community is and X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, shut the fuck up, bitch. I don't think he's racist at all. You know, even after these clips have gone viral, because if y'all didn't know, there's a plethora of clips of, you know, him saying some very interesting shit going viral. But a lot of these clips are heavily edited and lack context.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. The Civil Rights Act was a mistake.
More cops should be around your neighborhood. Why do blacks have a broken family?
White person were to come up and say, you know, black America really needs to get its act together and stop sleeping around all the time, and it needs to actually have monopoly.
Why would you?
Because it's true.
When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Black America is worse than it has been in the last 80 years. What percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them?
Of course we pandered to blacks. They're in every TV commercial.
And they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action?
Things got worse since the Civil Rights Act. More violent, less fathers around, poorer.
Why are we making racist jokes?
Well, look, it's a comedian that was put up on stage.
Yeah,
what do you expect? But I mean, man, can you take a joke?
You should be kissing the ground with gratitude because you're right. You are not in Africa, and you should be thankful you're not in Africa. Certain skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. It's now become a racial complaining day. BLM, and remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder.
I don't think the man was racist, and I don't think he deserves to die. But let's be real for a second. Why should anybody be like, oh my God, like this is so terrible? Just shut the fuck up if you don't care. That's my honest perspective. Many people oftentimes reference a lot of his old videos where he basically said shit like this, where he basically said that he would question if a black pilot was even suitable for the job. A lot of these clips that have gone viral and a lot of these clips that have been chopped up about, his views on abortion and his views on even, affirmative action, a lot of those things have been taken out of context, such as his view on black pilots. He said that because he has issues with affirmative action, which basically means diversity hire. Sometimes at your job, a lot of y'all got hired because you were the token Spanish girl or the token black person or the token Asian person. They hired you because they wanted to add a little bit of sazon to the mix. So, I mean, I'm not mad at his view on affirmative action because, to be honest, it is debatable. Like, I would never want someone to hire me just off the basis of my skin color, but I guess it helps bring inclusion into the workspace, so I can't even get upset. But at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk passed away due to the fact that a young man by the name of Tyler Robinson, who's 22 years old, who recently been identified, and who, as we all know, isn't cooperating with law enforcement, offed him and completely took his life away. He left behind his daughter, his wife, and they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't deserve to lose someone that they cared about. This is somebody's uncle, cousin, friend, and somebody's son. So the fact that he literally just died just off the basis of having an opinion and based off of having, a movement, it's not fair and it's not justified at all. And I don't think anyone can find any reason to justify why his death meant something. But one thing I will say is Charlemagne the God once said that people will hold you accountable for your actions. You can run away all you want. You can walk around all you want saying free speech, First Amendment right. I can say what I want, freedom of speech. But you can't get freedom from getting these hands. If somebody want to pop your ass or kill you because you said something they didn't like, you better be prepared for what comes with it as well. Freedom of speech is only freedom of speech at your own risk nowadays. Because, listen, we are in some wretched times right now. People are living check to check. Nurses are on strikes. Writers are, struggling just to make ends meet. Entertainers are struggling in Hollywood right now. This is not a good time to fucking play with people and, have strong, conservative, crazy-ass debates in public where you don't have any monitor security, making sure you're safe and making sure you're in a secured building. On top of that, when he was hosting these events, he was making them free of charge. All you had to do was RSVP and you were automatically allowed to even watch the show. But there were people who were able to watch from the rooftop. He had speakers so people could literally watch from a distance and much more. But what I will say is that is very stupid and irresponsible because at the end of the day, you are a political commentator that has been viewed hundreds of millions of times on the internet for their political and social beliefs. Why the fuck did you not have security? Not trying to victim shame, but what the fuck was this team thinking? You know what I mean? Like, you think people like this celebrity or that entertainer can just go out about and just publicly speak and there not be, surveillance and people watching and shit like that? A lot of times when you say things that ruffle people's feathers, you better be ready for what comes with it. Look at Luigi Mingione when he offed that insurance guy for these crazy-ass premium rates. Look at the fact that even people like Caitlin Bennett got spit on, has been harassed numerous times.
Demonstrators surrounded Caitlin Bennett during her stop to the Athens campus. Now, you may remember she gained a national following after her graduation photo in which she carried a rifle on Kent State's campus, and that photo went viral in 2018. Well, new video tonight showing people shouting at Bennett, and at one point her bodyguard carries her through the crowd, and water is thrown on her. No one was hurt or arrested. But on social media, Bennett called the scene a riot. Witnesses, though, tell NBC4 it didn't seem dangerous.
Look at someone like Alex Jones who's been attacked. Look at someone like Steven Crowder who's been attacked. All conservative political commentators. Even me. I'm not immune to if anybody want to approach me and press me about some shit. I talk about all types of crazy shit on the internet. I talk about all types of crazy things that ruffle people's feathers. And sometimes I've been recognized and people have not been very nice to me. People have been very, cold and standoffish and nasty to me for absolutely no reason. People have said little weird shit where I've walked into rooms and they've whispered to their coworker. You know, I've been on moments where like I literally will go on cruise ships, right? Like I literally went on I think I went on like a Royal Caribbean Carnival cruise one time, and literally I was just sitting at dinner, just chilling, eating my food at the buffet, you know, enjoying that free buffet. And then I just see people just like literally like looking at me, staring, pointing, and just laughing and giggling. And all I could just look at that and just think to myself, okay, these are probably people that just don't give a fuck about me or don't agree with the shit that I said on the internet. And to be honest, you kind of got to be prepared for what comes with it. Like Charlamagne the God said, people will come for you. Y'all remember when Charlamagne the God got pressed and they smacked his ass because of what he said to Molly Mall? Let's not forget a lot of the shit he said back in the day, you know, disrespecting Little Kim. You know, how he made Little Mama cry and all types of shit like that. And he got held accountable by multiple people. Fredo Starr, Beanie Siegel. Let's also talk about Gayle King. She's a media personality and a journalist. Let's not forget that when Kobe Bryant passed away, her ass thought it was appropriate to literally bring up to one of his close friends his sexual assault allegations. So Gayle King got dragged to filth to the point where her ass was over here crying and shit and mad because people was pressing her and holding her accountable about some shit that she said and she asked.
It took you by surprise.
No, it rocked me, Oprah. It didn't just take me by surprise. It rocked me.
Gayle was disparaged, trolled, attacked.
Yes.
It was a very challenging time, hard for me as a friend.
That's the way the world works. You can be all about speaking your mind, going against the grain all you want, but you better be ready for what the fuck comes with it. People will pop your ass and press your ass in a heartbeat. At the end of the day, these are crazy times. People are struggling financially to the point where everybody's like doing all types of crazy, strange things for some change. People are losing their minds. People are going through all types of hardships. And you get on the internet and you go out in public and you talk about immigration. You talk about the fact that they got to go back to where the fuck they came from, and you going out in public doing these things.
Today, new fencing surrounds the Broadview Processing Center. A little further down the street, barriers were placed to block traffic. Broadview police officers also remain in the area. This comes days after clashes between protesters and federal agents. Agents used white smoke and pepper pellets to disperse crowds as protesters blocked the entrance of the driveway. The Department of Homeland Security says 16 protesters were arrested outside the Broadview Processing Center, including for assaulting law enforcement. In a statement in part, the Department of Homeland Security says today DHS is extending fencing surrounding U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Broadview Processing Center after rioters and sanctuary politicians obstructed law enforcement through tear gas cans, rocks, bottles, and fireworks, slashed tires of cars, and blocked the entrance of the building and trespassed on private property.
Trump wasn't that stupid. You know what I mean? And I'm actually really in shock that Trump is even honoring this guy with a honorary hero award and an honorary hero medal, because I'll be real with y'all, why does Charlie Kirk need an honorary hero medal? Like, I get that he had an organization that inspired a lot of people, but honorary hero medal, I wonder if he would have given that to Ben Carson. I wonder if he would have given one to Candace Owens if she passed away due to some shit like this. So when it all comes down to it, you got to be careful, because right now people are on demon time. People are angry as fuck at their situation. People are mad at somebody. This is not a time. These times, people are not playing. People are talking with triggers, and people are talking with their fists now. And people are looking for a reason to let out their anger. Let's also talk about Savannah Craven. Remember when I made a video about Savannah Craven, where she decided to get on the fucking internet and talk about the fact that, you know, baby killers are despicable, and she literally told a woman in New York City, right, in the middle of Harlem, that she's not the one that believes in killing babies and shit, and then a New Yorker popped her ass and boom, smacked her ass. Yeah, freedom of speech, First Amendment, my ass. You say some shit that people don't like, they're going to pop your ass. This is not the time to be funny and be all like, well, I believe in freedom of speech and I can say what I want, say what you want, but be ready to get popped. So I'm not saying Charlie Kirk deserves what happened, but all I'm saying is people will hold you accountable in odd, crazy, and mysterious ways, and you better be ready to take it. You know, I'll be real, Jeffree Star even had to come forth, and of all people, Jeffree Star's Grim Reaper ass had to come forth and defend Charlie Kirk and tell people that they're disgusting for, you know, holding Charlie Kirk accountable and calling Charlie Kirk out and, you know, mocking his death.
Whether he believed them or not. Am I a Republican? No, I'm a person. Because I'm standing up for someone that passed away, I'm now being called names in the chat. This is what's wrong with a lot of you people. You will never get far in life. You are sick in the head. Someone just said they're unsubscribing from me. Thank God, please. Because if you believe in they and thems, you're part of the problem. If you're so stupid enough to go against science, please unfollow me.
Entire thing. I can't believe so many people in America are cheering and praising his death. It's honestly disgusting. So while I was live streaming, I found out about what happened in real time, and it was so horrifying and devastating. I've followed him for a few years. Do I agree with everything he's ever said? Of course I don't. But I loved a lot of what he said, and it resonates with me. But the good news is hundreds of thousands of more people have followed me, and they're on the exact same page. So I don't care about the following. It's not about that. I just had to speak my mind. I was honestly horrified because I'm someone that's always been outspoken. I love the truth. And for some reason, people are afraid of the truth. I've been told all week, he would have hated someone like you. No, he would have respected me because I'm my own person and I know how to have my own thoughts. So when I saw it in real time, I was completely devastated. I can't believe someone that has an opinion is now dead. It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's when you know shit is really real. And to be honest with you, he said some real shit. Jeffree Star basically pointed out how this is leading to a deeper issue where now if you even say anything at all, you're at risk of literally being killed. First of all, what makes America so great is the fact that we have a lot of freedoms to express ourselves any way we want. Well, with caution. But what makes America so great is that we have freedom to express ourselves. And when people are getting offed about just simply giving their opinions, we are in some dark, scary ass fucking time. But one thing I want everyone to understand when it comes down to it is Charlie Kirk's death is being sensationalized way too much. All I can think to myself is, why the fuck is this such a crazy ass massive deal? Like, let's be real. Like, assassinations and that's not nothing to fucking play about. You know what I mean? And people that are mocking his death ain't nothing to play about because that shit could happen to you or someone you care about. So it's not funny to mock his death. But I do feel like his death is being so sensationalized to the point where every fucking day it's a news story. It's a news story. It's a new update. It's news coverage of what the fuck is happening to him now. So I think they're going to use his death for some other shit. Like, I think his death is going to be the catalyst for some law getting passed. I think his death is going to be the catalyst for someone around him running for president, and then they're going to back that person up or some shit like that. I feel like his death is just a catalyst for something greater and stronger. Because, again, why the fuck is Trump honoring this guy with an honorary medal? Hope everybody sees where I'm coming from. And I hope this video, although it might rub people the wrong way, people see the deeper issue and why this is being sensationalized so much, and how death is just nothing to fucking play about. But that's that for this video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Give your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And yeah, that's that. Choice out this bitch. You will always be. I say fire to the rain. Watch it burn. I run away. In this turn, and I say fire to the rain, watch it burn. I set fire to the rain. That's all y'all get for free, and I don't even know the lyrics. Y'all have a good one.